Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like coleslaw? I mean, you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't like coleslaw. Coleslaw is one of my favorite side dishes, especially in the summer at a good barbecue. Especially on a hot dog or a sandwich, coleslaw is top tier, which is great because it's super easy and quick to make and it's low cost. Like a lot of things in life, coleslaw is mostly just prep work. We're going to start with 1 head of green cabbage. And we're going to peel all of the loose, soft leaves off of our head of cabbage until we're left with just the tightly packed leaves. Lay the cabbage on its side and cut off that end root piece. Lay your cabbage flat and then cut it down the middle. This hard white piece is known as the stem and it's not good eats. It's too hard and rough, so we're going to cut it out. Cut it out and toss it away. Lay your cabbage half on its side and then you can start slicing into your preferred thickness. I'm going to go pretty thin. Now I want everything on my coleslaw pretty thin and small, so I'm going to lay this on the side and cut it again the other way. And that should give us some pretty nice pieces. Add them to a bowl, then we're going to repeat those same steps with our other piece of cabbage. And as always, all the ingredients and amounts will be in the description below. And I'm curious, let me know if you have a favorite store-bought brand coleslaw that you really enjoy, because in my experience, most of them are not that good. So let me know if you have a favorite. I'll definitely try to find it and try it out. Next, we're grabbing a head of red cabbage, and it's pretty much the same procedure. Peel off those soft, loose leaves. Cut off the root. Cut down the middle. Then we're going to remove that interior stem that's no good to eat. Then slice that red cabbage up nice and thin. And that's it for our cabbages. On to our next ingredient, which is going to be some shredded carrots. Now, keep in mind this recipe, the amounts that I'm prepping here, this will be enough for about 2-3 batches of coleslaw. But that's one of the good things about this recipe. You can prep and cut everything ahead of time, keep it separate in a tight storage in the fridge, and have coleslaw all week long. Then we're going to trim, wash, and dry our carrots. Then I'm going to lay down some parchment paper to make this a little bit easier. Grab our grater. And using the section with the largest holes, I'm going to start shredding these carrots up. Like 10 minutes and 4 carrots later, we got our shredded carrots. And with our parchment paper, making that super easy, we're just going to pick this up and add that right to a bowl. And there's our shredded green cabbage, red cabbage, and our carrots. Most of our work out of the way. Now we're going to do our measurements in our mix in a large bowl. So here's what I'm going to do. For one batch, we're going to add 3 cups of our shredded green cabbage. And to that, we're adding 2 cups of our shredded red cabbage. And then we're adding 1 cup of our shredded carrots. Then get in there and give this all a good mix. Now there's a couple of more things I like to add to my coleslaw. One of them is some green onions, and we're just going to slice these up. And I like the, like zestiness that the green onions gives to the coleslaw. And the other thing we're going to add is some Italian parsley, which we're going to rough chop, not too fine of a chop on this. And I like the flavor, but I also like the color it brings, the nice pop of bright green that it brings to the dish. After that, we're pretty much done with all the prep work, all the chopping. The only thing left to do is make our dressing. We're going to grab a bowl and some mayonnaise, the good all fat stuff. Then we're adding a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. And then some dry seasonings. We're doing salt, pepper, celery seeds, paprika. And again, check the description for the full amounts. And then for some sweetness, a tablespoon of sugar, or you could do honey. And I did not show it, that's my fault. But I also like to squeeze in a little bit of fresh lemon juice. Then we're going to give everything a good mix. And as our coleslaw dressing, honestly, one of my favorite dressings, period. And you probably know what's coming next. We're going to add the dressing to the coleslaw mix. Then you're going to give that a super duper good mix. And that is our coleslaw mix. I like to make this a couple of hours in advance, even a day before, because the longer you let those sit in the fridge, the longer those flavors will develop. So if you've got a party or a barbecue to go to and you're in charge of bringing a side or the coleslaw, just make this. I mean, this literally comes together in 15 minutes. You can do it the day before, stick it in the fridge. Those flavors will develop. It'll be even better the next day. After your coleslaw is done, throw it in some airtight containers, and this should last in the fridge for about 3 to 5 days. And that's our coleslaw. Super simple, super tasty, sweet, crunchy, salty, tangy. I love it. And make sure you're subscribed because my next video, I'm gonna do something fun with this coleslaw. And like I said earlier, you can chop up everything, keep that leftover cabbage and carrots in airtight bags or containers, keep it in the fridge, and you can have coleslaw all week long. Let's try this coleslaw. Crunchy, sweet, salty, tangy. And parsley and some onions. Yeah, it gives it a nice kick. I'm double dipping, but I don't care. This is mine. That's some good coleslaw. What's up everyone? Today we're going to be doing one of my favorite side dishes, which of course is pasta salad. And the beauty of this recipe, it's like 90 to 100% just prep work. I mean, there really is no cooking involved. It's just basically chopping, mixing, prepping. That's it. All right, let's get started. Now, if you're a dope like me and you forgot to get your roasted red peps, I'm gonna show you this quick, easy recipe. It's really easy and it takes no time at all. All right, so what we're gonna do is get out about 4 to 5 red peppers. I'm using these small ones, so it's gonna be about 4 to 5. If you had a bell pepper, you probably only need one. Give them a quick rinse, a quick dry, and then we're gonna bring these over to the stove. Get your flame on high heat, and then get your peppers on. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, it might seem and be a little intimidating, but it's not. It's super easy. Just get your peppers over the flame. You're gonna hear them start to crackle, start to hiss, make all types of noises. Just make sure that you're rotating them about every 30 seconds. And when they're nice and black like this, take them off. Then immediately place all your peppers into a bowl, cover with plastic wrap, and you want to let that steam do its job, okay? You want it to steam and get nice and hot so that charred skin is super easy to take off later. Okay, while our roasted red peppers are doing their thing in their steam bath, we shall gather the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna start with 8 ounces of rotini pasta. Cook it al dente, toss with a little bit of olive oil, and then let it cool. Next ingredient, 6 ounces of salami. Weigh it up, cut it into some nice sized pieces. Get yourself a large bowl, a large pan, whatever you got, something big that's gonna hold all of this pasta salad. Add your salami to it, and you might have to break up the pieces a little bit, no big deal. And then we're gonna add a heaping 1/2 cup of black olives, sliced and rinsed and drained. And if you love olives like me, you're gonna add a little extra. Ain't no shame and ain't no pain. Next, we got some cucumbers. We're gonna wash them and dry them. Now, these are pretty small cucumbers. Actually, they're not that small. I would say they're pretty average, if not on the bigger side. Now, no matter the size of your cucumbers, we're gonna get a nice little dice on these, dice them up. Then we're gonna add about a cup worth right to our mixture in our pan. Get a small red onion, and then the same thing, nice small dice on this. Add it right to your pan. And it's finally time to get our roasted red peppers out. We're gonna poke some holes, let some of that steam out. And these are nice and warm, so that charred black skin should peel right off, leaving that sweet roasted red pepper skin underneath. Cut them open, take out the guts, then cut them into some nice sized strips. Okay, now whether or not you're using your own roasted red peppers or you bought them, you're gonna want to add about a 1/2 cup right to your mixture. Next, we're going in with 10 ounces of grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, washed and dried. You know the drill. A cool little trick to slice a bunch of these at once. Place them down on your cutting board, cover with your hands, press firmly, and then just cut across, cutting each one in half. Works every time. Just be careful you don't cut yourself, because I've done that once or twice. And of course, add all your tomatoes right to your mixture. And now it's a cheesy time. You're gonna want 8 ounces of fresh mozzarella. Now I have this little mozzarella ball thing, so I'm just gonna tear off little bite-sized, nice-sized pieces, toss them right into my mixture. Give this a little pre-mix action. And then we're gonna add in our cooked and cooled pasta that we tossed in a little bit of olive oil to prevent any sticking. Give that a nice little mix. There's a lot of mixing going on in this recipe. Okay, we got some fresh parsley, washed and dried. Are you tired of hearing me say washed and dried yet? I told you that's all this recipe is washing, drying, prepping, and cutting. So easy. And once you got your parsley chopped, add it to your pan. You're gonna want about 1/3 cup finely chopped. Mix your parsley in, then we're gonna add 1 cup of either homemade or your favorite bottled Italian dressing. And no, it really doesn't matter if it's bottled or homemade. If you're looking for a recipe though for a homemade Italian dressing, I will leave one in the description. The ingredients for one, that is. Mix this all up. Now you can either enjoy this now, but I like to let mine marinate for about 1 to 2 hours in the fridge before I eat it. And that's it, our pasta salad is ready to enjoy. It's sweet, it's salty, it's crunchy, it's fresh, it's delicious, and it's one of my favorite side dishes, even a main dish. This is even a main dish. All right, everyone, that's it for this video. That's it from me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Show me potato salad. That's right, folks. Today I'm gonna show you how to make one of my favorite potato salad recipes. It's rich, creamy, tangy, loaded with vegetables just the way I like it, but this recipe is very customizable, so you can alter it to fit your taste. Basically, I'm gonna lay out the groundwork for you. And before we get started, I just want to remind everybody the full recipe, ingredients, and amounts will be in the description below. The first item we are going to prep/make is our eggs, and 4 large eggs to be exact. We are going to hard boil them, and this is where the first customization comes in, because I know a lot of people don't like eggs in their potato salad, and if you're one of those people, you can simply leave it out. Although I do think the eggs add a level of richness and flavor to the potato salad. Now, since we are making one batch, we are only going to use 4 large eggs, so I'm going to use a small pot, and I'm also going to show you the method to get perfect hard-boiled eggs every time. Fill your pot of choice with water almost up to the top. Over at the stove, we're going to bring our water to a boil over medium-high heat. Once our water is at a boil, we're going to carefully drop in our eggs one at a time, and then we are going to boil them for exactly 12 minutes. After 12 minutes, kill the heat, take your eggs off the stove, bring them right over to the kitchen sink. With the water running on cold, I'm going to slowly pour out the hot water while filling up the pot with cold water. I like to do that about 3 or 4 times before finally filling up the pot one more time with cold water, and then letting the eggs sit in that cold water for about 5 minutes until they come down to room temperature. And after 5 minutes, if those eggs are still hot, I will empty the water, fill it back up with cold water, and let it sit for another 5 minutes. Now, this might seem like a lot of work, but there is a method to the madness, and there is a reason. I know everybody has their own opinion and special method about what works when it comes to boiling eggs. This is just what works for me. This is why I do what I do. Now, if done correctly, a few taps on the table, give it a little roll, and this shell should come easily right off the hard-boiled egg. And that's what I do. That's my method to get perfect hard-boiled eggs every time. That peel, super easy. And I like to keep a bowl handy to put the eggs in right after they're peeled, so right after they're peeled, I can fill them up with water and get any little bits of shell or anything else off of them. With all of our eggs cooked and peeled, we'll get them washed, and then we'll put them in the fridge until we need them. Next, let's go over the vegetables that we're going to be using. And just like the eggs, if there's something you don't like, just leave it out. So first up, I'm going with 2 stalks of celery, 1 medium carrot, peeled and washed. Here I have 1 green bell pepper, washed, although we are only going to use half of it, and 1 red onion, which we're also going to use only half of. Now, before we start mixing our vegetables, we're going to get a large bowl, a huge bowl, to mix everything in. Along with that, we're going to get a bowl to put all of our scraps in, a wooden cutting board or a plastic cutting board, and a very sharp knife. Ouch. First things first, I guess we'll start with our celery. We got it washed and dried, and we're going to cut the ends off because, hey, it's not that very tasty. The celery leaves, on the other hand, are very tasty, and they can be used as garnishes, or my personal favorite, used in stocks and broths. For the celery, we are going to do a small dice. The smaller, the better. Now, personally, I love celery, but nobody wants to bite into a spoonful of delicious potato salad and bite into a huge chunk of raw celery. So what I like to do is cut my celery into little matchsticks, line them up, and then slowly just go right down the side into little bits. Bench scraper for the win. If you know, you know. Scoop up your celery and add it to a bowl. And then we're going to move on to the next vegetable. Now, for our green bell pepper and our red onion, we're both only going to use half of each. And same thing as the celery, for our red onion and our green bell pepper, we are going to do a small dice on both of these. And personally, the thing I love about this potato salad is the freshness of the vegetables and the color and the vibrance that these vegetables do bring to the potato salad. And just like before, scoop up those vegetables and add them to the bowl with the rest. Now, the carrots. Because carrots are a lot harder than the rest of the vegetables, instead of cutting them, we are going to shred them. I got here a cheese grater, and we are going to be using the large set of holes. We got our medium carrot, peeled, washed, dried, and trimmed, and we are going to start with the large end first and start grating on the large section of those holes until we get some nice shredded carrots. Then place your carrots in the bowls with the rest of the vegetables. Alright, let's talk taters. Now, you could go with a Yukon Gold, you could go with a small white, or you can go with red potatoes. All of which are going to have their pros and cons, especially when it comes to potato salad. Now, red potatoes don't have as much starch as these other 2 potatoes, which means they'll hold their shape and texture better, which is perfect for potato salad. Now, I do like to mix it up a little bit and use a good mix, so I'm going to use 3 white potatoes and 3 red potatoes. Next step is pretty simple. We're going to peel all of our potatoes. Once your potatoes are peeled nice and smooth, we're going to cut these into some nice sized chunks. Not too big, but not too small. I also like to keep a pot of warm water right next to me, so as I'm cutting, I can throw those right into the water. Now, once our potatoes are all cut, we are going to take this over to the sink and wash this a couple of times, and that's to remove all of that extra starch. So I rinse and drain the potatoes a couple of times, filled it back up with cold water until it's about 1 inch covering the potatoes. Next, I'm going to add a generous amount of kosher salt. I also like to add a couple of bay leaves. Just make sure you remove them after you boil. Speaking of which, you're going to want to bring these potatoes to a boil, and then you're going to want to boil them until they are fork tender, which should take anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes, so make sure you're checking on them. Again, you want them fork tender. You don't want them overcooked to the the part where they're falling apart and turning to mush, but you also don't want them undercooked hard and raw, okay? They gotta be just right. And once your potatoes are just right, kill the heat and bring them over to the sink and drain them. And here's the secret to a good potato salad. While those potatoes are still warm, after you drain them, go ahead and pour them right over those vegetables and let them sit until they cool completely. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna soften those vegetables. Spread those potatoes out nice and evenly if you want, and then let this cool and come to room temperature. Now our potatoes are almost cool to room temperature, and one thing we still gotta do is cut up those hard-boiled eggs. Nothing too serious, pretty easy. So we're just gonna give them a quick chop, nothing too serious. Now I want these pieces, let's say a little bit smaller than the potato pieces. And like I said earlier, the eggs are absolutely optional. You can leave them out if you want, but I do believe, as do many people probably, that the eggs do give, you know, some texture and definitely taste and add overall to the potato salad. So I would leave them in, but that's just me. With the eggs all chopped up, we're gonna place these to the side and make our dressing. We're gonna start with a large bowl to mix everything. Next thing that's going in is 1.5 cups of full fat, all real mayonnaise, okay? No exception here. Next is 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. This is optional, but I do like to do a few shakes of hot sauce, specifically Tabasco sauce. And not optional, 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar for that twang, that tang. Then for some seasonings, we're gonna keep it simple with some salt and pepper. Now I would season to taste, but I would start off with about 1 teaspoon each. And keep in mind, you can always add more seasonings later after everything is mixed in and you taste it and you see how you like it and you can adjust it from there. Next, I'm adding about a teaspoon of dill weed, and then I'm adding a teaspoon of paprika. Then take your whisk and mix this up. Make sure everything is nice and well combined. And there you go. It's literally so good. This is also the same dressing I use when I make coleslaw. It is literally one of my favorite dressings. Let's run it down. We got our potatoes and our vegetables. We've got our dressing and we've got our chopped eggs. It's time to mix everything up and make some potato salad. Chopped eggs going in. That delicious homemade dressing going in. We're going to take a rubber spatula and gently fold everything in. And this is exactly why, oh, and don't forget to take those bay leaves out, but this is exactly why we broke out the big bowls today, because we needed all of that room to gently fold that potato salad in with the dressing. And like I said earlier, season to taste. So after everything is mixed in, go ahead and give this a taste. Now mine was exactly the way I liked it, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. Now I do like my potato salad slightly warm, but I also do like it cold, but preferably I want to let this sit overnight in the fridge to really develop those flavors. Speaking of which, pack this in some airtight containers, and this should last you about 3 to 4 days in the fridge, but we know it won't last that long. And there you go, potato salad. This is one of my favorite recipes for potato salad, the way I like to make it when I make it for me. And unfortunately, that's it for me. That's it for this video. That's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, send this to a friend, and I'll see you in the next video. Today we're making macaroni salad, rich, creamy, tangy, nice crunch and pop from the fresh vegetables. A perfect side dish that, in my opinion, can really go with anything, not just for a summer barbecue, but anytime, any dinner. I'm gonna show you the way I like to make it, and I also got a funny story about macaroni salad that I'm gonna tell a little bit later. For now, let's get into it. So the first thing we're gonna prep is our hard boiled eggs. Now, just like potato salad, I love boiled eggs in my macaroni salad. If you don't like the boiled eggs, you can just leave them out, but it does add a level of richness, flavorness, and creaminess, so I recommend leaving them in. Now, in my potato salad video, I did show you step by step how to make perfect hard-boiled eggs that come out perfect every time and super easy to peel. If you want to check it out, I'll leave that video in the link below. For now, I'll give you the short, quick version. We're going to fill up a saucepan with cold water, bring that over to the stove, and bring your water to a rapid boil. Once that water is boiling, we're going to go ahead and carefully drop in our eggs. Now, this recipe calls for 2 to 3 hard-boiled eggs. I'm going to use 3, and I'm going to boil 4 just to be on the safe side. After you drop all your eggs in, go ahead and set a timer for 12 minutes. 12 minutes later, bring your eggs over to the sink and immediately drain that hot water. Rinse with ice cold water. Then drain that water again. Then fill back up with cold water and let those eggs chill out for about 10 minutes. After that, give them a few taps and them shells should peel off perfectly every single time. Peel off the shells, put them in some water, and we're going to put them to the side for now. We're going to move on to cutting our vegetables. Some equipment we're going to need is a cutting board, a couple of sharp knives, and a bench scraper to help scrape everything up. A little smaller bowl for all of our scraps, and of course we're going to use our big bowl that we used last time for our potato salad. We're using it again for our macaroni salad. Now before we get into our vegetables, I just want to point out some of our other ingredients. We're going to need hard-boiled eggs, which you just seen me boil, and 8 ounces of dry elbow macaroni pasta. We're also going to need half of a red onion, and we're going to need half of a green bell pepper. Also 1 to 2 stalks of celery. Now I like celery, so I'm probably going to be using 2 stalks. If you don't like celery, you can just use 1. And now for the pickles. Now I'm kind of weird. I don't like pickles in my potato salad, but I do like pickles in my macaroni salad. If you don't like the pickles, you don't have to use them. If you are using pickles, you can use dill pickle like I'm going to do, or you could do a couple of sweet gherkins. We have our celery stalks washed and dried, and like I said in my other video, we're going to remove the ends and then we're going to remove the tops. Now the celery leaves you can save for garnishes, or they're really flavorful in like stocks. So the ends I'm going to throw away, but the leaves I am going to save. Now for our celery, as with the rest of our vegetables, we're going to want a really small fine dice. Now while we're prepping our vegetables, I'm going to tell you a funny story, or at least what I think is a funny story, if not embarrassing. It was pretty embarrassing at the time, and now that I think about it, it's still embarrassing. Now I'm not exactly sure what grade I was in. I'm pretty sure I was in about 5th grade at the time, somewhere around that age. Now it was a new school year. Now my brainiac teacher thought it was a good idea to play this game where you go around and you introduce yourself and you say one thing you like with the same letter of your first name. You know, a fun little game for everybody to introduce themselves, and a quirky, fun little way to remember everybody's name by something they like that begins with the same letter of their first name. Now me being a dumb little kid, you know, I'm folding like a chair under the pressure. Actually, now that I think about it, this is probably where all of my anxiety began. So the teacher's going around the room. I'm like sweating under the pressure, trying to come up with something that I like that begins with my name. Now my name is Michael, so I have to find something I like that begins with the letter M. Now there is a couple of other students in the classroom with the name M, and we're not allowed to copy each other. We're not allowed to do duplicates. So she's going around the room. There's one kid with the letter M, and he says, hello, my name is whatever, and I like muffins. And I'm like, ah, crap, there goes muffins. I can't use that one. Another kid with the letter M, hi, my name is blah, 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 whatever, and I like McDonald's. And I'm like, crap, another one that I could have used. So finally she gets to me and she's like, you know, go. And I'm like, hello, my name is Michael, and I like, I couldn't think of anything, and I just bursted out, hello, my name is Michael, and I like macaroni salad. And the class burst out laughing. Bro, what kid likes macaroni salad? From then on, in that classroom at least, I was Michael Macaroni Salad. Come on, bro. Now our pickles. These dill pickles are pretty big, so I only ended up using one. If you wanted to use the sweet gherkins, which are smaller, I would only use about maybe 3 or 4 of those. I just want to point out now too that the full recipe, ingredients, and directions will be in the description below. If you like this video or find it useful, hit me with a thumbs up. And if you're new around here or not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It helps me and the channel a lot. Now this is a little last minute, but in the addition to the green bell pepper, I also decided to use half of a red bell pepper for some additional color, pop, and a little bit of sweetness. And last thing we need to prep is our hard-boiled eggs, which have been cooked, peeled, rinsed, and dried. And we're going to give those a nice medium small chop, nothing too serious, nothing too stressful. By now, your bowl should be full of your prepped and chopped ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and give this a little pre-mix. Next, we're going to cook our macaroni, which is pretty simple. We're going to add 5 quarts of cold water to a medium to large saucepan. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt to this water, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. And once our water is at a rapid boil, we're going to add our macaroni noodles and stir, and then we're going to cook this for about 8 to 9 minutes until it is al dente. Now immediately after our pasta is done, we are going to drain the hot water, add it to a colander, and then we are going to rinse this with cold water. Now normally I would never ever advise you to rinse your pasta. However, for a cold dish such as pasta salad or macaroni salad, it's okay. We don't need the extra starch to help our sauce adhere to our macaroni or our pasta. And we want our pasta to not only stop cooking right away, but cool down. So go ahead and rinse away. We are, however, going to add a little bit of olive oil to our macaroni noodles just to help them from sticking while they cool down, so give that a mix. Only thing left to do now is make our dressing. So we got a separate bowl, small bowl, medium bowl. To that we're adding 1 cup of mayo, real, all fat, 100% mayo. To that we're going to be adding 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. If you don't have the red wine vinegar, you could use regular vinegar. Then 1 tablespoon of white granulated sugar. Then we're adding 1 tablespoon of pickle juice for some twang and tang. Then we're adding 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Then we're adding 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of paprika. Grab yourself a whisk, whisk that all together, and there you go. That is your macaroni salad dressing. Okay, we got all of our prepped vegetables. We're gonna add our cooked macaroni noodles to that, and we're gonna give that a nice stir. Then we're adding our dressing to everything as well. Then we're giving everything a really good mix, and that's pretty much it. Your macaroni salad is done. Now, I just want to say one thing. I just want to point out one thing. You could absolutely eat this right now as is, and it would be amazing. But the longer you let this sit, the more those flavors are going to develop, the better everything is going to taste, basically. So I recommend letting this sit for about an hour in the fridge before you eat it. Let them flavors really come together. And of course, one last thing I gotta do is taste for seasoning, and this was on point. Everything was luxurious, so good. You almost caught me lacking with the double dip, but then I remembered I am gonna be serving this to other people, so we don't do that around here. And that's it. Our macaroni salad is done. Perfect side dish for any meal, any time of year, not just for your backyard barbecue. Now for storing, you can place these in some airtight containers, and they should last for about 4 to 5 days. All right, guys, that's it for me. That's it for this video. That's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, head over to my Instagram at layeredlikenachos, give me a follow, and comment on any one of my videos or posts, and let me know that you came from YouTube, and I'll give you a follow back. What's up, guys? Today we're going to make this absolutely amazing Pico de Gallo, which is a fresh salsa. It is so delicious. We're going to get right into it. Some stuff you're going to need is a container to store your Pico de Gallo in when it's all done, a bowl to mix everything in, a nice little handy scraper tool, and a very sharp knife and a cutting board. Oh, and one last thing, little handy tip, an extra bowl on the side to store all your scraps in. All right, let's get into our produce. It's so simple. It's only like 5 ingredients. First up, a nice juicy lime, then a small onion. Now I know some people like to use white onions, but if I'm doing anything that involves raw onions, I like to use a red onion. Next, some ripe and juicy tomatoes. Now how many tomatoes is going to vary by the size and type of tomatoes you use. I'm going to weigh mine, so I'm going to go for about 1 pound of ripened tomatoes. Some jalapenos. Now I wasn't sure if I was going to use 1 or 2, so I took out 2 just to be safe. And of course, some fresh cilantro that we just rinsed off. And the last thing you're going to need is some seasoning. Now I think salt is usually more traditional, maybe even salt and pepper. Me, I'm going to use some of my special seasoning, which is just salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And that's pretty much just it. I mean, from now, you're just going to prep all your veggies. You want a nice small dice on everything so that it gives it a nice bite. So just cut everything nice small dice, add it to your bowl one at a time. Now I'll tell you a funny story about Pico de Gallo. One of my first restaurant jobs that I got, I was a prep cook in my 20s. So I'd go in the mornings, prep all the meats, vegetables, sauces, things like that. And one of the things I had to make was Pico de Gallo. And at the time, I really didn't like Pico de Gallo, I'll be honest with you. It was just something about like raw tomatoes and raw onions. It just wasn't for me. But I guess as time goes on and you get older, your taste buds change, because now I absolutely love this stuff. I can eat it on anything, which is good because Pico de Gallo has like a million uses for it. You can use it on tacos, burritos, and omelets, which is really good. You can eat it just straight up with chips. You can use it on almost anything that you would want an extra condiment on or more flavor, which I also think I read one time that America's favorite condiment was salsa, which is wild. You think it would be like ketchup or ranch, especially ranch, but no, it was salsa. I'm gonna look it up right now and see if it's true. But yeah, I think it is. Even if it's not first, it's definitely a close second. Even though if it's not first, it deserves to be first because Pico de Gallo is so versatile. Like I said before, you can use it in anything. Anyway, once you get all your ingredients in, you're going to want to hit it with the lime juice, hit it with your seasonings, mix it all up. Then you're going to want to taste this. Very important that you taste this and make sure there's enough salt in there as per your liking. Mine definitely needed a touch more salt, so I added a little bit more. And that's it. Your Pico de Gallo is done and ready to eat. However, I do recommend that you let this marinate in the fridge overnight, or at least for a couple of hours. The salt is going to pull some of that moisture out of the tomatoes and everything else, and it's going to marinate. It's going to become nice and wet and juicy. It's going to be delicious. All right, y'all, that's it for this video. That's it for me. I hope this inspires you to make some Pico de Gallo because it is amazing. All right, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. What's up, everyone? Today we are making ambrosia salad, also known as marshmallow fruit salad. Now, full disclaimer, I've never had this before, but I recently saw a recipe and I gotta admit, I was intrigued a little bit. So of course, having never made this or tried this before, I said, let's give it a shot. To get started, grab your biggest bowl. I said your biggest bowl. Your biggest bowl. Perfect. The first thing we're going to add is one 11-ounce can of mandarin oranges, drained but not rinsed. Next, one 14-ounce can of pineapple tidbits, drained but not rinsed. And one 15-ounce can of fruit cocktail, drained but not rinsed. And I just want to point out this had grapes, but I did pick the grapes out because we're going to be adding our own grapes. Half a cup of grapes cut in half, if that makes any sense. Now, funny story, when I went to buy these, I wasn't really paying attention and I ended up buying cotton candy grapes, which is okay if you use cotton candy grapes for this, but I just want to point out, I tasted one and how do they taste exactly like cotton candy? I don't understand. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments, because that is definitely some GMO right there. Anyway, one heaping half a cup of grapes cut in half right to our bowl. We're going to grab a large spoon. I said a large, just kidding, I'm not going to do that again. But we are going to get a large spoon and mix this up. After that's all mixed up, we're going to add our next ingredient. Now, things aren't going to get weird yet, but we are diving into the unknown. So next, we're going to add half a cup of chopped pecans. Now, pecans are a little bit expensive. I think when I went to buy this stuff, I bought everything at once, and I think out of everything that I bought, the pecans were the most expensive thing. They're also optional, so you don't have to put the pecans if you don't want to put the pecans. However, in my opinion, they do add more flavor. I mean, I love pecans, and they do give more of a texture, because all you got otherwise is the soft fruit. So they do give kind of a nice crunchy texture. So 1 heaping, half a cup of chopped pecans going in right to our bowl. Now for our next ingredient, we're going to add 3 cups of mini marshmallows. Now I recommend, if you can find them, using these mini fruit flavored marshmallows because they are absolutely amazing. I couldn't find these at first when I first went to buy everything. All I could find was these, the regular mini marshmallows. And then finally, the night before I was going to do this recipe, we found the fruit flavored mini marshmallows at the dollar store. So if you can't find the fruit flavored marshmallows, you can use the regular mini marshmallows. However, if you can find the fruit marshmallows, use these ones because they're pretty damn good. Anyway, so we're going to go in with 3 cups of the mini marshmallows right to our bowl with fruit. And as usual, I will leave the full recipe in the description below. So add your pecans and your marshmallows and then give this another mix. Once that's all mixed in, we're going to set our fruit bowl to the side, grab another smaller bowl, and we're going to add some Cool Whip to that bowl. About 1.5 cups. Nothing too crazy so far, right? But wait, because next we are going to be adding some sour cream. Yes, you heard it here first. Sour cream to the whipped cream, and we're going to mix that up, about half a cup of sour cream. Gently fold your sour cream and your whipped cream together. Now at this point I was a little curious, a lot curious as to how this would taste, so I went in for a spoonful, and yeah, my face sort of says it all. It was really pungent, really tangy, almost sour. I'm kind of hoping this all works out in the end. So we are going to take our whipped cream, sour cream mixture and add it right to our fruit bowl. Then we are going to gently fold that in until everything is nicely combined. Once everything is nicely mixed and combined, we are going to refrigerate this for 4 hours before we serve it, which seems like a lot, and it is. But will our patience be rewarded? Let's find out. We're going to give this another mix, fluff it up, sort of wake it up after its 4-hour nap. And at this point, honestly, I was just so ready because this smelled so delicious. It smelled so fruity. I'm going to grab some fancy looking glasses to serve these in, fill them up. Little cherry action on top. I mean, what is a dessert without the cherry on top? All right, no more waiting. I waited all my life to try this. The anticipation was building, my mouth was watering, and I was still a little bit hesitant and nervous because of that sour cream and the whipped cream mixed together. But I got a big spoonful, went in for a bite. It hit my tongue, and let me tell you, it was definitely not what I expected. Right away, sweet, light, airy, fruity, sweet, decadent, fluffy, crunch from the pecans, snap from the pineapple, that burst of airiness and fruitiness every once in a while when you bite into one of those fruity marshmallows. It's like biting into a delicious cloud. The tanginess from the sour cream, the sweetness from the whipped cream, the tanginess from the pineapple, the sweetness from the Marindin oranges. It's like everything balances out so good here. It's perfect. It was amazing. It was absolutely a 10 out of 10. I can't believe I've been missing this my whole life. I would and definitely will be making this again. It was that good. All right, everyone. Unfortunately, that's it for this video. That's it for me. That's it for me in this video. Like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you in the next one. And send this video to a friend and tell them you want them to make you this ambrosio salad, also known as the marshmallow fruit salad. All right, y'all. Bye.